Why do most people stay poor? Parentheses, how can you get rich? We're going to have this conversation with somebody that became a multi-millionaire in his early 20s. And we're going to have a conversation about somebody who's worth over a deca million bucks as well. So we're going to talk about how and why most people stay poor. Cody, when you think of that statement, when that hits you, what's the first thing that you think about?
The shiny object syndrome, the need to do a whole bunch of stuff. Something that I got from meeting with Ken McElroy is he's talked a lot about the ability to do less and earn more. When people are getting started, they know the least amount of everything and they want to do everything. And so when I was getting started, my issue was I wanted to do affiliate sales. I wanted to be in the car industry. I was flipping cars. I was doing landscaping stuff, like little things like pressure washing and all that. I helped somebody paint their house. I was trying to do a whole bunch of stuff and I'd get little bits of money rather than being really honed in and getting paid a lot of money for doing less. And so that shiny object syndrome is a big one that I feel keeps people wherever they're at. You know, whatever level they're on, they're just stuck forever. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when I think about that statement, it really hits home because I think a lot of people stay poor because it takes delayed gratification and time to get rich, right? I think getting rich is a remarkably simple formula, but unfortunately it means sacrifice and a decade. And we're just not wired to do that, right? We get the dopamine hits. And again, I'm just as guilty, right? I went to, I was 30 years old before I figured out I was wasting my life, because every time I got a raise or a commission check, it felt like a race to spend it. And, that's recipe to live paycheck to paycheck. And I was on that path. And again, I thought it was the American dream, right? Go to school, get a good job, make a lot of money, spend a lot of money. I didn't really understand that I was on this treadmill. And, I was never going to catch the cheese unless I stopped my wants. Right. And, I think sacrifice is not something we're cool with, and sacrifice for a decade is almost unheard of. But if you do those things, it could be amazing. Right. The other thing I always think about is life is hard. Choose your hard. Right. Are you going to take the easy path today and just spend so that when you're 60, it's hard? Or are you going to, choose your hard now and have, a good life at 60? That's the first thought.
Or let's take it a step further. It's like, what about the unwillingness to make mistakes and wake up with egg on your face, right? I mean, everybody can make mistakes, but a lot of people don't want to. They don't want to go through that trial and error and learn from it. And I've made the most progress when I've messed things up, because I look stupid to someone, and the wish to never have that feeling again is strong enough to make sure I don't do it again.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I imagine you agree, seeing as you got to make a lot of mistakes to get to your level.
Yeah. I think pain or lessons or embarrassment is a great teacher. One of the things, if you watch my daily financial news, I do all the time is I make calls. And yes, I will celebrate like nobody's business when I'm right, but I also own when I'm wrong. And I have learned the most when I'm wrong, because I have to check myself, right? When I make a call, I feel very logical and good about it. And then when it goes spectacularly wrong, I have to go back and reevaluate. Like, how did I get there? How did I get that so wrong? Like, same thing in real estate. Why did that deal go sideways? What can I learn from that? And you said something very important that I tried to lead my sales teams when I ran go to market for, millions and millions of dollars of software companies. I was like, I don't mind mistakes, right? Go try stuff, right? When you're trying to launch a brand new product, a lot of what you're doing is guessing, right? Educated guessing, but guessing nonetheless. So we had to get really good at feedback so that we could pivot very quickly. And I would tell people all the time, right? Mistakes are great. We just don't repeat them, right? That repeating of a mistake, that lesson that you don't learn because you have to do it again, that's not acceptable. We don't have time to repeat mistakes. So, make a lot of them. Just learn the lesson and move on. You'll be better for it.
Oh
Yeah.
and then you get to move forward and you're a little stronger every day for it, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think of a lot, and this will be on both parts of the title, it's why most people stay poor and how to get rich. It's the compensation model. Most people are only compensated for the time and effort they put into something, whereas I was only able to start building that worth when I got compensated for things that I did, not things that I'm doing. So the fact
Mm,
that I bought a property, now I
right.
have entitlements to get compensated until I sell the property. Setting things up, creating a community that puts a whole bunch of people in the right space and so that they can move forward. You set that up and it's going to reward yourself and a lot of people for a long time to come. Like you mentioned in the past, that's going to outlast you if you do it right.
Yeah. That's the goal.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think that's one of the big difference or differentiators between people that are going to stay poor and people that are going to get wealthy is the things that they did enable them to get compensated for a long time, rather than the setting up a model where you can make a lot, but you have to keep doing the action to get the money.
Yeah. Totally agree with that. The other one I think that keeps people poor is they don't evaluate their network, right? Again, it's so common now, like show me your friends, I'll show you your future. If you want to get wealthy, right, you got to get around people that are building wealth. You can't, if you're going to be around 5 people that smoke weed, you're going to be the 6th. You want to be around fat, if you're going to be around fat people, you're going to be the 6th. It's just you've got to put yourself in new rooms and in new groups, and yeah, that means, some of your friends, they're going to get less of your time. All right. I call them fire your friends. And people don't like that. They ridicule me. How can you do that? They've been with me forever. They're my ride or die. Or if that were true, they would want to see you get rich as opposed to hold you back. And, the other thing I'll say and throw back to you is this damn device needs to be considered one of your 5 friends, right? If I go on this device and I just see you consuming poison, doom, fear, nonsense, I know exactly what's going to happen. You're going to do nothing. You're going to sit down on the couch and you're going to do nothing. You will not get wealthy watching doom porn. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So you got to get around the right people. Now, to take it another step, you get around the people. How vital has excellent communication been for you getting wealthy?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, I have a lot of college education. My most valuable class was at junior college. It was a speech class. That one class made me a millionaire, right? I was a shy kid who sat in the back of the room, and I could go to an event and not speak to anybody and have a good time, right? I was just that shy kid in the corner who was comfortable being alone. And that one class got me out of my shell. And it was, public speaking, #1 course I ever took.
Yeah. And if I didn't learn how to communicate and I was still that kid who was afraid of going up to the McDonald's cashier and asking for chicken nuggets, if I couldn't do that, there's no chance I would have built the relationships that I did. I could have been in the room with the people and it wouldn't have mattered, because if you don't talk to them, it doesn't matter if you're there. Like, I can go to your event. If I don't talk to anybody and I don't take notes, why did I go? Right? You got to be intentional about it. So, and communication will definitely separate the people who move forwards or backwards.
Yeah, the other thing I think about is I don't think we have a very good understanding of money. And, that's a big statement with lots of ways to go. And really where I want to go with this is, everybody can tell me how much they make, like how much you make. Like everybody knows their income. Most people could tell me what their net income is, after taxes, after Social Security, after 401k, because it gets deposited on the 1st and the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
What most people can't tell me is how much their life costs, right? Rent, food, entertainment, insurance, all of that. They may have an idea, but they don't know how much is left over, right? How much is discretionary. And that's the number that matters. If you want to get wealthy, you have to have discretionary income. You just can't do it any other way. Without discretionary income, you don't have no seeds. If you don't have no seeds, you don't plant anything. If you don't plant anything, nothing grows. And we just have to get really good at talking about, how do I grow my discretionary income? cut expenses, raise your income. There's only two things you can do. So I think we don't talk about money enough, I don't think.
Yeah, talking about money and risking being offensive or getting offended. I'd say there's a lot of people in my age demographic that financially they wouldn't quantify themselves as successful, but they're also afraid to get offended or offend someone else. It's like not willing to put yourself out there. That's another issue, because I mean, you could do all the studying, but if we had this on a call earlier, I did the live with Mark. We were talking about being willing to offend a seller with a disrespectful offer, like you talk about in your school community.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not willing to be offensive, you're not going to move ahead. You're just going to stay exactly where you are, because today everybody gets offended by everything for one reason or another. It's because everything's public. Back before my time, and not everything was public, but now everything's on the internet. So you're going to offend somebody, and being willing to do that, I'd say, will help you move forward. I know I've put some offensive content out there, not on purpose. Like, I'm not trying to do it on purpose, but I've offended people. Yeah.
It's, you're never going to get away with that. If you're operating public facing like you are, I am, we piss people off all the time. I post some of these on X and Twitter. I actually copy comments, and there's people leaving death threats in comments. It's just crazy. It's crazy. The other thing I think about why people are broke is it's really for a lot of people, it's a spending problem, not an income problem, right? I think there was an article I read the other day. People make $300,000, like 40% of them live paycheck to paycheck. That's wild. Make $300,000 a year and you live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's crazy.
I've never made 300 grand of non-contingent income. Like, all of my income is contingent on, like, I have debt, I have mortgages, I've got properties and people to take care of. If you just earn that money and you have nothing left, something went wrong.
Yeah, you're living really good, I think, that's what's happening. It's
the inability to live on less than you make. I mean, Dave Ramsey says it perfectly. Granted, his investment philosophy is a little different than ours, but living on less than you make allows for that discretionary income. You can do a whole lot with that, and it compounds so quickly.
Yeah. Again, it's really funny to me, because the more and more people I help and coach, we just got to get people to realize that getting wealthy is a decade, right? We got to stop the get rich quick. We got to stop the easy button. We just got to tell them, this is a 10-year journey. The first 5 years suck, right? You're going uphill, right? Carrying a backpack. But when you get to the top of the hill, it's an amazing view. It's worth it. And I think we'd go a lot farther if everybody knew they were signing up for 10 years. Because I think you can do 10 years, right? 10 years is, it's a decade, but you're going to live, you're going to probably live to 100, 120, something like that. It's only a decade. And again, as I said earlier, you got to choose your hard. Do you want to live that hard decade when you're 20, or do you want to live that hard decade when you're 70? I know when I'd rather do it.
Okay, so on that note, let's talk about what separates people that are going to stay where they're at and getting rich. Time horizons. Yeah. Are you looking at the weekend, or are you looking a decade out, 2 decades out?
I like it.
Because there's other people that'll buy properties. They'll get into rentals and get their first rental or investments, but it's a property that they want to get in and out because they would not want to hold it for very long. They're thinking about the now rather than the future. That you could be doing the right thing the wrong way and put yourself in a really tough spot because of your business model. They're not thinking about, I'm buying this property because it works today, but in 5 years or in 10 years, I'm still going to be reaping the benefit. They're just going in, flipping it, or buying in a bad location, thinking it'll be okay, and it won't. And the time horizon does influence a lot of decisions for me, and I'm confident that it does for you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's if you stop thinking only about the weekend and you kind of zoom out and you go the year, the decade, decisions become a lot easier to make. Right. When you this, and I really use that analogy of seeds and planting, because that's how I think. Right. I'm buying the house today. It's $200 cash flow, but a decade from now, it will be, 6 figures in equity. It'll be probably $1,000 in cash flow or whatever it is. And that's just how you stack days. And it's not about the 200 today. It's what will this be in a decade, or shoot, 20 years, 2 decades, right? I have property that we've owned for almost 2 decades now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm going on year 7 soon with my, well, next year I'm going on year 7 with my 12plex. And the cash flow is, even with insurance going up 400%, the cash flow is 5 times what it was when I started.
Yeah. So let's talk about getting rich, right? We'll kind of wrap this up. And when I see people make this mental shift, they're on the journey. And it really goes back to that other word, sacrifice or discretionary income. When Olivia and I did this audit, needs versus wants.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started cutting out wants. And we did it for almost 12 years before we really started, living a good life. And, that was a game changer for us, because that just threw money to the bottom line, right? It all became lots of discretionary income. When you go from spending 100% to spending 50%, that's a lot of money on the bottom line to plant seeds.
Yeah. Another thing to focus on that note is, don't buy the fancy stuff right now.
Yes.
Don't go buy the expensive suits. Don't buy the nice, the expensive dresses, the fancy car. I've got a buddy who does the whole car hacking thing where he'll buy a fancy car, hope it goes up, sell it every month. And then he gets to drive these fancy cars, but he can't afford to keep them. And there's so much stuff out there trying to look like you're doing so well. And just keep your life really simple. Like, I live on less than 50 grand a year. That's me, my wife, my pets. That's visiting family. We're not giving up all that life has to offer. And we're finding a way to do that, because we're not spending thousands of dollars a month on car payments. I saw a TikTok where people are bragging about, I got the most car payments, $2,200. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gross.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's super ridiculous. So don't spend money on things. Don't commit yourself to payments on things that don't pay you. That would be the answer.
I like it. Yeah. At the end of the day, again, folks, getting wealthy is remarkably simple. You create discretionary income, you become an elite investor at just one thing, and you do it for a decade, right? You do that. And again, I don't care what you do. It could be cars, it could be wine, it could be art, it could be real estate, could be stocks, crypto. I don't really care. But if you become elite at that, you do it for a decade, I like your chances. Cody, any closing thoughts on where they can find you?
Closing thoughts would be, find a way to get paid for what you did, not what you do. And if you don't get paid for anything you did, you got to do something different. And you can find me on YouTube, Cody Davis Business Adventures.
Thanks, family. Have a great day.
You too.